Hey guys, Angry Monkey here.
And Jackson Farrell.
And we got reunited with everybody. And Ace has Lotus at gunpoint, and he's trying to get through this 9-door. But the 9-door, I can't speak today. 9-door couldn't open.
Yeah, because the 0.
Lotus tried to take advantage of Ace's confusion and managed to, I guess, break free. Okay. At the last second, he grabbed hold of her wrist and shoved it onto the red. He waved the number 9 bracelet over the red and then his own bracelet as well.
Okay.
He pulled the lever a second time.
Nope. No!
And this is the definition of insanity.
What? So it is. Ace doesn't look exactly sane, though.
No, he doesn't.
The digital route should be 9! It has to be 9! Then why? Why isn't it opening? Error? It's stuck?
Oh. Ace's fury and confusion had overridden all other thoughts. He had set down the revolver. It was just below the red. 7 chose that moment to act. He moved far faster than a man of his bulk should have been able to, and he launched that bulk straight at Ace. It was over before they knew it. In the blink of an eye, Ace was on the floor. He rolled on his side, groaning in pain. Lotus ran straight for Junpei. She darted around behind him and stuck her head out, making sure to keep Junpei between herself and Ace.
Someone get the gun. Phew! That was close! Too close! Thank you, 7. Don't mention it.
7 stood over Ace, his breathing slow and heavy.
Just one punch ain't enough for this piece of... well,
garbage.
Something. Garbage works. Junk.
Poop on the bottom of my shoe.
Snot. You piece of snot. We're going with that.
Okay.
After what he did 9 years ago, I ought to rip him to pieces. But if a suspect can't talk, that ain't much good. Once he's locked up in a cell, we're gonna have a little chat. 9 years ago? Then you must be... Yeah, you finally figured it out. Dumb butt.
Or I remember, naturally, in Pokemon, Ash did some pretty stupid things, and so my dad says, dumb Ash. Ace planted his hands on the floor and shook his head. Junpei walked toward him. He stopped and looked down at Ace with pity on his face.
Ace, you killed Kubota, Nijisaki, and Musashido, didn't you? Wait, Nijisaki?
He peered at Junpei, genuinely confused.
Oh, right. You don't know yet. Alright, we'll just go through them in order then. Let's start off with Kubota. You talked to Kubota and managed to convince him to go into door 5 alone. You killed him without making it look like you killed him. It was a murder. The way I figure it, you had 4 motives. 1. In the nonary game, the number 9 was dangerous. Whoever had the number 9 bracelet could join whatever team they wanted. You could add 9 to any number, and the digital route wouldn't change.
And so math.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So neither of those dudes were under any instructions not to spill the beans about the experiment. But they wouldn't want to, because then they'd be implicated.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Ace also wanted to have the number 9 bracelet himself so that he could make use of its power. In fact, he later made use of it in the murder of Nijisaki. Even if his number had been different, Kubota presented a problem for Ace. Kubota had known Ace's past. He knew what had happened 9 years before. Before he told anyone, Ace had to silence him. But last, and perhaps most disturbing, Ace had used Kubota as a test. He wanted to know how serious this nonary game was. Was it truly life or death, or simply a harmless prank? He convinced Kubota to break the rules so that he might see what happened. Oh, sinister science. That was why you killed Kubota, but he was only the first. Next was Nijisaki. While everyone was off looking for the missing part for the red, you ran into Nijisaki near the big hospital room. However, because of your prosopagnosia, you didn't realize he was Nijisaki, chiefly because when you met him, he was dressed like Snake. That was why you thought Nijisaki was Snake. No, that's not... That was Nijisaki? Why? How did... I'll get to that. Anyway, you thought he was Snake. The ship is sinking, yet I have time for this exposition here. Snake was one of the kids in your experiment 9 years ago. You remembered him because he was the blind kid. But his presence made you think...
Snake was...
Snake was one of my subjects 9 years ago. He probably hates me. But if that's true, why isn't he saying anything? Is he keeping quiet because he can't see? Or perhaps he's working with Zero to get revenge on me. Whatever the reason, anyone who knows my past is a threat. Before he tries anything, I need to get rid of him. That was when you decided to kill him. The murder weapon was Kubota's bracelet. You just waved it over the red. Verified your own number, and then grabbed Nijisaki's arm and forced it over the scanner panel. Then when the door opened, you kicked him in. 9 seconds later, the door closed. So his fate is sealed. And then 81 seconds passed. And poor Nijisaki was dead. Then you mean to say Snake is still alive? Sorry to disappoint you, but I'm as good as new. Thank you for killing the wrong man, but I can't say I like knowing that you wanted me dead. Although, to be honest, even if you hadn't tried to kill me, I would still hate you very much. Well, I wouldn't blame you.
Ace's self-derision was frustrating. But Junpei kept his emotions in check and continued.
Last but not least, let's talk about Musashido's death. When Clover and I were investigating the chart room, you came over to talk to me. Do you remember what you said? A pocket watch. Might I take a look at it? I handed you the pocket watch, and you left the room. Ace had been in charge of the nunnery project, and I'll let the narrator narrate.
He would, of course, have known the solution to every puzzle. It followed that he knew how to get out of the wheelhouse. All Ace had to do was place the pocket watch in the indentation on the door to unlock it. With the door open, he was able to enter the captain's quarters. Musashido was there. Next to him was an axe that fairly begged Ace to kill Musashido with it. He picked up the axe and swung it, burying the blade deep in the other man's chest. One blow was all it took. Afterwards, Ace returned to the chart room as though nothing had happened.
It seems that Santa is just placing these people here from his past to give him an opportunity to off them.
I mean, he's a lot more brilliant than you would think he was. I mean,
yep. Anyway, that's what Ace said. Another moment to speak privately with Ace.
Mm-hmm. And that's probably why he so desperately wanted to come into this room, was just to kill Musashido.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, naturally, he had to borrow that pocket watch for just a minute. And that's why we get interrupted twice during our conversation with Clover.
Mm-hmm. The piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't the piece of paper that Ace was after. Oh.
It wasn't a very good plan. It had far too many flaws, and the wrong word of discovery could have easily toppled it. What had made Ace so desperate? That was the only thing Junpei hadn't been able to figure out.
Musashido's murder is the only one I don't understand. You obviously did it, but why? Because of this.
Slowly, Ace reached down and pulled something out of his pocket. It was a folded piece of paper. Junpei took it and opened it. This was what it said. Number 1. Okay, it's...
The rules.
Yeah, the rules. Oh, he's got something different. The first is to win the notary game. The second is for you to confess your sins of 9 years past. I prepared a camera in the captain's quarters. The images captured by that camera will be streamed through a satellite and distributed across the world. Simply look into the camera and repent. Once you've confessed everything, I will release you from this ship. To make your confession more credible, I have left you a witness in the captain's quarters. Perhaps you will confess with you. The decision is yours. Do as you please.
Oh.
0.
So he knew he was there.
Mm-hmm.
When I awoke in that room on D-deck, I found it in my pocket. That was why I chose door 1 when we voted. If I went through that door, I knew I could get to the captain's quarters. As you said, I knew how to enter the wheelhouse. My plan was to find the pocket watch before anyone else. If I could, then my alibi would be set. At least that was the plan. Unfortunately for me, you got to it first. That sleight of hand was the best I could manage on such short notice. You meant to kill him from the beginning, then? Musashido, I mean. I only knew Musashido was the witness after I reached the captain's quarters. I asked him, and he answered. He seemed groggy. Perhaps he had only just awoken from sedation. I suppose Nijisaki was in much the same state. He seemed confused and disoriented when I encountered him. But yes, you are correct. I intended to kill him from the beginning, even though I didn't know who he was. I proceeded to the captain's quarters in order to remove this so-called witness.
Ace had confessed everything. What energy he had left him with the truth, and he sagged on his knees. Although he had confessed, his sins were not forgiven. Junpei felt revulsion for the pathetic man on the floor near his feet. But among the revulsion was a hint of pity. After all, Ace had not been the only person who murdered those 3 men. Junpei spoke quietly.
Ace, you figured it out, haven't you? You were being manipulated. Yes, so it would seem. I was little more than a puppet in many ways. Everywhere I went, everything was already prepared. The Reds in the large hospital room were dismantled. Nijisaki was dressed like Snake. There was an axe in the captain's quarters. Musashido was delirious from the anesthetic, so he couldn't fight back. Nijisaki as well. In retrospect, I can't understand how I could have fallen into such a simple trap. I'm quite ashamed of myself. But yes, this was a trap. It was Zero's trap and I fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. I did everything he wanted me to. Yeah! By manipulating Ace, Zero was able to kill 3 people and keep the blood off his own hands. All of this was revenge for what happened 9 years ago. That's why this nonary game happened. Am I right? Santa?
Junpei looked over at Santa. As Junpei spoke, he stood up, his legs still shaky. What are you talking about, man? I don't know any. Ain't no point trying to play
Ain't no point trying to play dumb anymore, Santa. I can see why you would try to voice my lines, Angry Monkey, because Seven and Santa are very similar looking names.
And also the fact, man, that I'm still in the frame. So,
yeah, my profile pic didn't pop up. That would have been a helpful cue for it's a good game, don't get me wrong, but little indications like that might make it a more expeditious kind of thing for Let's Plays. Anyway, we've still got a lot of game to go through here, so I'll just read my line. Ain't no point trying to play dumb anymore, Santa. Actually, guess I should call you Aoi Kurashiki, huh?
Seven's face was sad as he spoke.
My memory came back, kid. You're Aoi Karashiki. No doubt about it. Never thought I'd be back in this room talking to you. But hey, I guess this was all part of your plan, huh? After all, the person who planned the nunnery game this time around was Zero. And Zero's you.
Yeah. Looks like you really do have your memories back, huh? Santa smiled was sarcastic and something else. Well, I guess there's no hiding it then, huh, man? Yeah, you got me. I'm Ari Kurashiki Man. And I was... Kurashiki Man. Kurashiki Man. I was one of the kids in the nunnery game 9 years ago. Or 9 years ago. I made it out. Sad snake over there, man. There's one thing. No, I guess there's two things you got wrong. Number one, I ain't Zero, man.
What? Wait, what?
Sure, I was helping Zero out, but I'm really more of an assistant. Like a secretary, man. But an assistant's only an assistant. I didn't come up with all this. All I did was follow Zero's orders, man.
Then, if you're not Zero, who is?
Calm down there, Junpei. Didn't I say two things, man? You made one more mistake. Junpei, you just said all of this was revenge for what happened 9 years ago. That's why the nunnery game happened. But that's not it. Revenge isn't the only purpose. There's another reason you guys were playing the nunnery game. To save someone, man.
Save someone?
Right. You were brought here to help my sister, man. To save Akane.
What are you talking about? Akane Kurashiki died 9 years ago in this room. I was there. I saw.
Suddenly, Seven froze. His eyes went as wide as dinner plates, and he spun around toward June.
Oh my gosh, are we going to do some teletemporation here?
Junpei followed his gaze.
That's the only way we could undo what happened.
She was gone. Where June had been, there was nothing.
What the stuff? Where is she? Where's Akane Kurashiki?
Seven began to mumble to himself, a strange series of words strung together as if it... his face was twisted with effort, as though he was struggling with something they couldn't see. He gritted his teeth and pressed his hands against the sides of his head.
My head. It feels like it's gonna pop.
He groaned and fell to his knees.
Seven? What is going on? I don't know. I swear to God, my head feels like it's about to explode.
And it did. And there's the end of Seven. From somewhere far away, they all heard a deep, heavy noise. Sounded like a tremendous wheel slowly beginning to turn. Santa seemed to have entered an almost trance-like state. His words were calm and measured. What is the nunnery project? I'm sure you know already, but I'll tell you one more time. It was a project designed to test a particular phenomenon, man. And what was that phenomenon? For two organisms to communicate with one another in the absence of physical contact. Morphogenetic field theory, man. Human beings use these invisible fields to exchange information. That was what this experiment was conducted to determine.
Huh.
There were two separate locations, man. One was the gigantic, and one was the building in Nevada called Building Q. Building Q had been built to replicate exactly the interior of the gigantic, man. The 9 children trapped in Building Q were faced with numerous puzzles, copies of identical ones on the gigantic. They were told to send their answers into the morphic field set and transmit them to their brothers and sisters on the gigantic.
Okay.
The transmitters were put into Building Q, and the receivers were put on the gigantic. Each sibling was supposed to be split up, but there was a mistake. Akane was a transmitter. She should have been in Building Q. However, for some reason, she was placed on the gigantic with receivers like me.
I was thinking that was peculiar.
Yeah.
The two of them brother and sister were in the same experimental compound.
Perhaps she was mistaken for someone who's supposed to go into Group A. Whatever the case, Akane ended up on the Gigantic.
Huh.
I think I've told you enough. You get it, don't you? I'm pretty sure you know where this is going, Junpei.
Where what is going?
Don't play dumb, man. You know things you shouldn't, things you couldn't, man. How did you know Ace had prosopagnosia? How did you know why Ace wanted to kill Kubota and Nijisaki was killed? Were you surprised when you found out that Ace was Hongo? And what about the coffin Snake was trapped in, man? How did you know to open it? Or how did you open it, man?
Well, that's,
The answer to that is easy. He knew because I knew.
Should we go on with this in the next episode?
Let's do that. We're getting pretty close to the finale.
Okay. Yeah, links are all over the place now. We'll see how long the next episode is in the next episode.
Yeah, we'll catch you guys there.